We all know slavery is wrong. I think that goes without saying. Unless, of course, you're Harcourt Fenton Mudd. Then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Welcome back to WTF Star Trek, the show where I point out the shittest parts of the original series, only for people to tell me, it's the 60s, that's how things were back then. The episode begins with the Enterprise in pursuit of an unidentified vessel. In an effort to catch up with the ship and save it from an asteroid field, the Enterprise blows out 2 of its lithium crystal circuits. I'm surprised they're still using lithium in the 23rd century, considering what it takes to mine lithium now. I mean, they're probably mining it more ethically, but still. Also, lithium crystals, don't they mean dilithium crystals? Since that's what powers a warp engine. Maybe they're just saying lithium crystals instead of dilithium, because it's the same to say either. Dilithium, lithium, dilithium crystals, lithium crystals, it's pretty much the same. Scotty manages to beam over Leo Walsh, who is the captain of the other ship, who looks like a space pirate and is Irish. An Irish accent that's not very convincing, I might add. As the other ship is destroyed by an asteroid, the crew are beamed out just in time. All 3 of them being beautiful women who the men, except Spock, can't keep their eyes off. Trust human men to be horny pigs. McCoy literally looks like he's about to start drooling. As Spock escorts Walsh and the ladies to the captain's ready room, all the men along the corridors are ogling at the ladies. Walsh responds to this by saying, "Men will always be men no matter where they are." That's exactly the same thing as saying boys will be boys when they start pulling girls' hair in the playground. Men will not always be men, because the men that are fucking pigs. While in the turbo lift, Walsh identifies Spock as half Vulcanian. I don't know what the fuck Vulcanian is, but Spock is half Vulcan. Get your facts straight, you cretinous turd. As they're exiting the turbo lift, one of the women says to Spock,
"I apologize for what he said, sir. He's so used to buying and selling people."
"Oh, Leo Walsh is a slave trader. Okay. Is that not illegal within the UFP?" Walsh and the women are led into Kirk's ready room, and as soon as they are, you can tell by Kirk's face that he has an instant boner. Honestly, I wouldn't expect any less from Kirk. He does shag his way across the galaxy. Kirk informs Walsh that he will be put to a ship's tribunal for evading a starship. After which, Walsh is led to a meeting room where the women are being kept, where he then tells them to not submit to a medical test. And for some reason, these girls keep calling him Harry. Strange. With only 1 lithium crystal left and the bypass circuits fried, the Enterprise is left in critical condition. So, with Spock's request, Kirk decides to take the Enterprise to Rigel 12, where they should be able to obtain some more lithium crystals. When the tribunal begins, Leo is put to a lie detector, which is when he admits Leo Walsh is actually a fake name, and his real name is Harcourt Fenton Mudd, or Harry Mudd for short. The computer then finds his criminal records, and it turns out he's a wanted man. Of course he fucking is. It saw half of his crimes in Discovery. Hold on. So no, what do we already know? So, he at one point was held in the Klingon prison, and then he tried to steal Discovery, although I suppose that's off the record and classified because of everything to do with Discovery. He killed quite a few things. He is currently wanted for operating without a pilot's license. And what's he doing now? He's trafficking women across the quadrant to get them to be wives for colony and mining settlers. And he's pretty much saying these women only exist to be wives. Progress in the 23rd century, ladies and gentlemen. It's fucking great. With Harry now having found out about them going to Rigel 12 to get more lithium crystals, he decides to pawn off the girls onto the miners of Rigel 12. So he sends the women to go flirt with men across the ship and steal items from the ship as they do so. It's at this point Kirk walks into his quarters to find Eve led in his bed. How many times do I have to say it in the show? You don't go into someone's quarters without permission, and especially when they're not there. After trying to attract Kirk, Eve becomes apprehensive of everything Harry's telling her to do. Now, if Harry's forcing these girls to do all of this, he needs to be arrested sharpish. I mean, at the moment, yes, he is being held in his quarters, but he should be locked up in the brig. On the bridge, Kirk asks McCoy if he's medically examined the women, and McCoy says they refused. To which Kirk responds with,
"Come on, you're the doctor."
"Kirk, there's this thing called bodily autonomy, which means those women don't have to be medically examined if they don't want to." Then again, Kirk is American, so it wouldn't surprise me if he thinks women shouldn't have bodily autonomy. After Harry contacts the miners of Rigel 12 with a stolen communicator, the women start to change and degrade rapidly. That is until Harry gives them a pill that reverses the process and makes them beautiful again. So there's a magical pill that makes the women beautiful and physically alters the way you look. That sounds like genetic manipulation, which is illegal within the Federation. Fucking hell. He has so much he needs to go to prison for. Once reaching Rigel 12, two of the miners are beamed aboard, and as Kirk is about to negotiate a price, the head miner Childress requests a swap. The women for the lithium crystals, as well as the immediate release of Harry Mudd. Harry then barges in with the women and negotiates about the ship in front of Kirk. Mudd is a cunt. Confirmed. So, hang on. Mudd is trafficking these women, which again is illegal within the Federation, and with these three miners trying to acquire the women, they are participating in slave trading. So Kirk is well within his rights to arrest Harry and all three of the miners, and just, take the lithium crystals while he's there. Kirk, Spock, and Mudd beam down to the surface to obtain the lithium crystals. But Childress is refusing to give up the crystals at that time because he wants to get his dick wet. When he goes to put the moves on Eve, she starts to cough and tells him she's not feeling well because of the dust. So Childress sees this woman in pain, and what does he decide to do? He just fucks off to go for one of the other girls. What a dick. I'm telling you now, these men are going to start fighting in a minute. Yep. Called it. During all this chaos, Eve runs out into the sandstorm, and when Kirk goes to run after her, Childress stops him, telling him,
You can't go out there. You'll get killed.
So Childress was gonna leave her to die. But luckily Kirk runs after her anyway. Who'd have thought Kirk would be the biggest feminist in this episode? That doesn't seem right. After not being able to find her, Kirk beams back up to the Enterprise to continue the search with infrared scanners. Smart move, actually. Now, I just had a thought. With the systems they have, and with the ship in such critical condition, why don't they locate the lithium crystals and beam them aboard? That would increase their efficiency and improve their chances of finding Eve quicker. After Childress goes out into the storm, he somehow comes across an unconscious Eve and takes her back to his cabin. The next morning, he wakes up to find her cooking breakfast. Well, that's very nice of her. But, of course, Childress starts to complain about her cooking for him. A, why would anyone turn down free food? And B, why is it so bad that it's being cooked by a woman? I get that he wants to be more independent and would rather do stuff like cook his own food, fair enough, but he doesn't need to be such a misogynistic prick. When the effects of the drug Eve took start to wear off, Childress starts becoming more aggressive and starts saying she looks homely. Oh my fucking god, you dickhead. Looks aren't fucking everything. I mean, he hasn't even tried to get to know her, because he's a prick. He's a prick. Kirk and Mudd bust in and tell Childress that Mudd had been giving the women something called a Venus drug, and that the other two miners got married to the women they were with during the storm, because apparently they're regretting it now. When Childress starts to complain about this, Eve says to him that they didn't even want wives in the first place. And she's right, they don't want wives, they want someone who's subservient and impossibly beautiful at all times. That's not real. When Mugg shows the drug to Childress, Eve snatches it and takes it, transforming her into the woman that Childress originally met. It's at this point Kirk reveals that the drug she just took was coloured gelatin because they took away Mudd's drugs, and that her beauty right now is coming from her confidence. Which is a nice message and all, but the actual drug physically changed her appearance. So how the fuck did a placebo do the same thing? Kirk manages to obtain the lithium crystals, and with the Enterprise fixed, they begin to leave orbit. When Spock hands over his report to Kirk, he tells him he's happy it's all over, calling it
The most annoying, emotional episode.
Did Spock just break the fourth wall? Spock is Deadpool confirmed? And that'll do it for today. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Live long and prosper.